Yes. So, you know what? Yeah, I like discussions. I like, spreading positivity, self awareness, uplifting people, and all of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm all about, health, wealth, gym. I work out, love working out. Look, as you can see, I got my dragon fruit, you know, my dragon fruit, my sweet sop, sugar apple. In Jamaica, we call it sweet sop as well. Sugar apple. It's like a custard apple, but it's not the same thing. It's different, same family. It's like sour sop, same family. Cherimoya, you call it in Mexico and all that. Cherimoya. And I think maybe like other countries, in like South America, Latin America. All of that in Americas. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like there's things that I like to talk about. Yeah. So like life and like everything. So like love, relationships, situationships, the way society is molded, and like the way like the impact that like social media has on like people's perception and their thought processes and the way they think, because like everything's like a lot of things, well, most things obviously are influenced from like external forces. And by the way, this is just raw and cut footage. I don't do all this fancy stuff. All look, I just finished wash. I gotta wash my hair, put some little grease in it. It's messy. I don't care about all looking fancy for YouTube and that. This is me raw. You can catch me there. This is me. This is what I do. Obviously, when I'm out, I like to look good. I take care of myself a lot. I'm into all them things. So, but I like being natural and showing who I am and what this really is. I'm me. I'm Jay. That's what they call me. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, literally, dragon fruit's mad. I was saying something on my horror channel, right? That like, I know obviously I went off topic, but like, I was staying in Los Angeles, yeah, for a year and a half, yeah, and like this just reminded me of like candy, right? Although it don't taste like candy, but it reminded me of candy the way it looks juicy and all that. And I would always say to like um Americans, yeah, where's the sweet shop? They're like, what the hell is a sweet shop? Like, what's a sweet shop? And I'm like, a sweet shop. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, um, I'll show them a packet of sweets and I'll be like, oh, candy. And I'm like, yeah, candy store, candy store. Do you know what I mean? But obviously here in London we call it sweets. Do you know what I mean? And like UK, so we say, oh, sweets. Where's the sweet shop? Oh, the sweet shops up the road or around the corner. There's bare sweet shops. There's plenty sweet. We say bare. There's bare sweet shops around. Obviously, it's like plenty sweet shops around. Plenty on the high road. Big city life, London. Do you know what I mean? So like, yeah, you know, like just like I have like a lot of thoughts every day about things, and like people and like social media and stuff and that division between like men and women and all this relationship stuff and fighting against each other of like, oh, you need to have this money, that all this stuff, like, oh, like this provider stuff and then this submissive stuff here. And I'm just like, listen, it's so mad because like, so obviously I'm a millennial, yeah, and like when I talk to the people that are, wait, so you got Gen Z, so you millennials, I forgot what the ones above me are called, generation baby bloomers, I think. So obviously, like when I speak to them, yeah, obviously like I'll have a conversation. Like I like deep, meaningful conversations. So I'll say like, oh, just say like, we'll talk about something. I might, and then like I might mention something, and then we'll start talking about like, oh, like relationships and stuff, or like, they got kids, family, wife and all that. It's mostly like the men, so I'd speak to, like these encounters basically. So I'd be like, oh, like obviously this is one of the topics I'm gonna talk about. So obviously I'll be like, oh, like, what's your like relationship? Well, they might talk about these guys. Obviously they're older, so obviously they might talk about them. They'll be like, oh, I saw something like this guy, like Andrew Tate or something. Do you know what I mean? They'll be like, yeah, saying this and that, and I'm like, okay, right. So just listening. So obviously he would be like, oh, um, I'll be like, also, what about like your wife and kids and your family unit? What's that like? And like, like one guy, he's like, nothing. Like we see each other as equals. I don't think my wife is inferior or whatever. She doesn't look at me like, oh, I'm superior. He's just like he said we see each other as equals. So I'm like, interesting. So I'm like, financial. So I'm like, oh, what do you, if you don't mind me asking now, what does she do? It's like a job as opposed to what you do. And he's like, oh, like my wife's got a really good job. She likes what she does. She likes working. Da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, oh, we earn good money. So, like we're just living life, we're enjoying our kids, our family unit. We have, our house, whatever, go on holiday here and there. So I'm like, okay. So obviously he's turned around and he said to me, because obviously I'm like a lot younger than him. So he's like, oh, like, talking about like my generation now. So he's like, oh, kind of don't really get your generation, like the way you view like relationships and stuff. It's like it's just chaos. It's like obviously this is what he said to me. So he's like, oh, um, there's all this. Oh, the man's got to have this income and this and that money, and and then the woman's talking about, oh, I'd only be submissive if the guy has this or that, or all these things, or if he's doing this and doing that. Like, but it all stems basically, a lot of it stems around like financial security, basically. Obviously speaking to them, obviously they've seen a big drastic change from like when they were younger and they started working. They were like to me, oh, I could the job that he had when he was younger, he would work, earn the money. He can his wife doesn't have to work, yeah, and um she can and then he can bring up three kids at the same time as his wife not working on that wage, go on little date dinner with the wife, yeah, save money and still buy a house. And then he's like, in this day and age, he's like, well, from like years ago, he's like, you can't do that. Like the job that he has, he's like, you can't, there's no way. Like, that's just like a one man, that's like a one person, two person, like, stability ground. So obviously he's like, right, he's like, right now, if obviously he was working that job, he wouldn't be able to bring up his kids and his wife not work. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I'm like, oh, it's interesting to obviously what he's saying, because obviously times have changed like drastically. But what? So obviously he was then saying to me like, I don't understand like you lot. Like it's so simple to know like things have changed, and unfortunately they're not how you want it to be. So it's like now he's like, oh, obviously this is his perception. So he's like, You got all these like girls being like, oh, I need them. I don't want to go to work. I need a man that can like, provide for me, like financially, so I can be like housewife basically. And he's like to me, how are these guys gonna do that? Like, how many guys will earn this big money? Like, there's, like you're in a hyper capitalist society now, where like everything's like profit over people. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So obviously, when he's now looking at social media, he's like, right, he just doesn't understand how. I don't know. He's saying that people don't understand these things, and I'm like, do you know what it is? It's like I think they do understand it. They must understand it. I'm sure because although you're living in the same world, you're in the same planet, of course, people's perceptions are different. And the people you meet and the space that you hold with the people you meet shape your perception. So, it's more like he's like, so I said to him, look, the thing is that everyone's fighting. So you got like the guy that's saying, oh, he wants a woman to be like this and that, and oh, traditional, whatever you want, traditional or don't have to be traditional. It's all personal choice. And then the woman says, "Oh, you want traditional woman, but you can't financially. You don't have the finances to have a traditional woman. You don't have the stability." And obviously, for me, I'm like, right. Everything isn't about finances. Everything isn't about just having money. Because I can tell you now that like I know people that like I'm well like I've traveled. I'm not well traveled, but I've traveled. I've met people from all different walks of life, and I can tell you now that it's like I've met rich people, yeah, who are unhappy. I've met rich kid, not kid like teenagers and like people that are adults that resent their parents because they feel like they got everything given to them. They ain't really work for nothing, and they're just like messed up. They're like, oh, like they're doing like a madness out there. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like doing a madness, like because they're not obviously spiritually intact, mentally intact. Do you know what I mean? They got lost in the source. So there's a lot more to obviously being a provider because obviously you gotta be whatever you say financially provide, you gotta mentally provide and spiritually provide. Obviously, especially like so I'll say this like obviously need to men and women, but men need to. So men obviously have um the energy is different, between man and woman, and the energy that we hold. So you know, with the man, women have like they say like um manifestation energy. The man like literally like he channels the energy in it. So the man has to really he has to mentally, spiritually, forget financially right now, forget that. Let's say spiritually, mentally, like provide to the woman, you know, so she can really, because the woman obviously holds that energy, being a good man to her, she now feels like, yeah, I've got a good man. I can be myself. I can nurture. Women create. Do you know what I'm trying to say? They create. Kids come out of them. Life force. All the man, his energy is basically electric. Whoa. So obviously the man. So this way is the man's meant to have his brain is meant to be sorry his reproductive is meant to be electric, the woman magnetic. The man's brain is meant to be magnetic, woman electric. That's what they say. Like something like that. Like I can't remember fully, but it's I'm either 100% on that statement from what I've read, or it's the other way around. But literally, obviously, I'm just doing raw footage. I literally just put the phone down, and I just wanted to speak in it. So don't bite my head off. You know, oh yeah, this guy. Just I'm just trying to just speak and just pull it out there, innit? Like have conversation, like having conversation. But like we need to obviously. I feel like we just need to stop fighting each other. Stop all that rubbish, social media rubbish. Oh, you know, you need to have this money, that, this and that. The man needs to stop all this. Oh, you just gotta be this traditional woman that acts like this and does X, Y, Z like this. Because the thing is that everyone is different in that aspect. So obviously, if you're talking about traditional woman, every traditional woman has different values, different morals, different thought processes. Every man, same thing, different morals, different thought processes, different values on what he would accept or deem acceptable and what he doesn't tolerate. Same as women. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So like I feel like these things, as they seem so complex, they actually I feel like they're more simple than we think. There's layers, it's multi-layered. So like say a guy has like his say a guy is rich, has finances. Obviously it's attractive to a woman. Oh, my man has finances. But at the same time, like if his mind is not intact, if he's not spiritually there, mentally there, even if I say, forget about spirituality, mentally, like obviously people are, what spirituality, I don't care about that. Mentally, he's not really mentally there, you know, to treat the woman right, you know, loyalty, have a shoulder to lean on, talk to, talk about real problems that you might have in the household or something that she doesn't like. Have a proper conversation. You sit down and you say, I didn't really like what you did. Um, Obviously, I understand maybe why you might have done X, Y, Z. You might have done what you did, but I didn't like it. She might say, why didn't you like it? You can say, because I think ABC, so this and that. And she can say, okay, I understand. Like these conversations, just to calm the the aggression from both sides of the coin. You know, obviously, man obviously needs to listen to his woman. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, woman needs to be like, yeah, um, I understand, and both can express their feelings and speak to each other with respect. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I'm just talking from like a practical thing. Ain't in no long term, ain't in a relationship, ain't in no long term relationship. I'm not married. I'm not no relationship guru. I'm just talking from like what I see, in the world, how people interact. I feel like some things are just can be sorted easily. Communication, comprehension. You know, I just feel like it's simple, so simple sometimes, and like we make it hard for ourselves to deal with the solution of like dealing with relationship problems. So when really all it takes is the man, listen, sit down, calm, don't scream and shout at your woman like that. Obviously sometimes it may happen, you may explode for whatever reason, but in those circumstances you need to obviously sit there and think about, all right, why did I do that now? So you need to come back to yourself and say, why did I do that? What triggered me to do that? Why did I feel like I needed to scream and shout at her? You know, and maybe after that he can say, apologize, and then can give his reason and say, look, I didn't mean to. No problem. No, just had a moment to myself due to like maybe I don't know past trauma, past relationship problem. It could be anything because these things happen. Do you know what I mean? Like people carrying their trauma over to like their new relationship or whatever, and then like, and that's man and woman, and either party's confused. Like, oh, why are you acting like that? What did I do? She might, and then she might be like, oh, you're you don't understand anything, you're this, you're that, and then he might be like, what? You're saying this and this and that about me? Because obviously you might be like, oh, I know myself, I wouldn't do that. But he, but then obviously that would cause him to explode and be like, you know what? You're an idiot. Da, 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 da. Like there's no solution. You need to have a solution as a man. This is what I say. So you solve problems as a man. We solve problems. Yeah, this is like it's innate. Like you should be solving problems, but also overstanding problems are dissolved. You dissolve the problem. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So obviously it's understanding, like us, and problem solving. I saw something today about do so. Oh, this guy asks another guy, do you think women should work? And I was like, and then he was like, it's up to her if she wants to, but he wants to be a main provider, X, Y, Z, da da da. And obviously looked at the comments and it was like, oh, women are like, oh, where are all the men like this? Da, 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 da. Can I like clone this guy? Da, 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 da. And like when I looked at that and I was like, raw. These comments for me are showing like there's scarcity in men like that, but really there isn't. There's loads of men that think like that. The only problem is that they don't have the means to provide for her to be a housewife. So obviously so it may be a trigger for those men, like, oh, you want a man, da, 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 but what are you doing? Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it's like the things there's loads of guys. It's built in us. Do you know what I mean? To be like, oh, I want to provide. Like, I don't want my woman to work. I don't want my wife to work. You know, out of like choice, I wouldn't want her to be like, oh, you gotta get up and go to work. If she wants to, and like obviously me having business and this and that, she can jump in. We can do the business together. That's obviously a whole different thing because obviously it's like those things. Obviously, don't feel like you're at work in it. Like it's work, but it's things that you want to do and you're enjoying it. So it's obviously a different story. Like, oh, I'll put my wife in charge of this. While I run this. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's different from that her just feeling like, oh, she got to wake up 9 to 5, be somewhere, be at the desk, have some crappy manager or whatever, breathing down her neck or being inappropriate or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Giving headache and all that. Obviously, it's a totally different story. But for me, I wouldn't obviously want my wife to work. If she wants to, she can as well. So obviously, I agree with that statement. But it's just the things that like I was like, oh, like there's scarcity in those men. It's not. There's no scarcity in those men. Even like women, like big, like loads of guys, there'll be like a different clip on like say on their Instagram. They'll be like, oh, like just trying to give an example, but I'll say that there's a clip where a woman might say X, Y, Z, and like a guy will be like, where's all the women like this? And it's like the things is that there's loads of women out there like this. You walk past them every day. You walk past women walk past providing men that are single every day. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And men walk past great women every day. I can tell you, I've met loads of wonderful women in my life. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm like, yeah, like I like to see like the good in people. Obviously, I read people proper. Like, I'm someone who reads people proper, but I can see the good. I can see like, yo, it's a good woman there. Wow, you know, like in general. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there are loads of good men and women out there. Don't be discouraged. Don't let social media tell you that there's no good man woman out there, whatever, you know, and that. The only thing is, right, so I'll tell you one thing. Western society has been, I will use the words, corrupted, thrown off, um, thwarted, whatever you want to say. That I would say they have been swayed by the media or whatever you wanna, like, social media, like they're swayed off, you know, off track. Do you know what I mean? Like they need to see that they've been swayed. Like people just like they look at things and take things literally like, personally, and I'm like, you need to understand that like there's a game here, you know, not being played. And you need to understand the more you're played and the more you play into it, the more you're gonna believe these things, and your perception is gonna be different, about people in society. Do you know what I mean? It's like you get what you give, and it's true that like when you think the stuff you think about a lot, like there's been times even I've had it. It's like been negative, thinking negative, and it's like I'm just attracting more negative stuff in my life. Like if you, it's almost like I'm seeing negative, I'm feeling negative. So obviously, like when you go out, it's like it's confirmed. You find things to confirm, you know, the negative energy when it's like I've been positive, super positive, yeah, you know, going out there fresh, this and that. Even when I was like in Los Angeles, like I'll go outside, go for a walk in the sun, you'll see people smiling, waving. People I don't even know come up to me and talk to me. Da, 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 da. Like, oh, you got good energy, you're smiling. Where you from? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, because obviously I have a good positive outlook on life, and I'm greeting people, strangers. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Man and woman don't matter, Just yeah, man, how you doing? As life treating, how you treating life, how you feeling, how you doing, how's your day going, all of that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So this is just a conversation obviously I put out there. I would like to know your thoughts in the comment section about how you think society is molded and what you think about relationships and all these things there. And like, yeah, what you just think, and we need to stop all the fighting, man and woman fighting each other. I'll have many of these conversations. Sometimes I might say the same thing, but I might say it in a different way. I might go off topic and into something else. Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, we need to stop all that. There's ways to stop it. There's ways to communicate properly with each other. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. You know, Men obviously step up to the plate and understand that like you can do it. You don't have to fight woman, you know, mentally and verbally. You don't have to do that. And women, same thing. It's the same thing. There's great men out there. Trust me. It's obviously what I realize. Everything's just about perception and what you also deem morally wrong and right, what you accept, how you view life, how you view men and women. So yeah, literally, I say yeah. You can follow me on my social media, Justin J White underscore. So it's Justin J, that letter J, White. So the color white and then underscore. You know, and yeah, we can whatever. Have a little conversation, little comment in the inbox. You can comment on YouTube. YouTube obviously better to obviously comment in the comment box, but yeah, I would love to know like your thoughts and stuff, and get things get talking. Do you know what I mean? I like uplifting people, and you know what? Ain't gonna lie, like you see me, I've always been like a problem solver. I don't know what it is. I've always been that person that like I try to like be the mediator. Like people come to me like with advice. Do you know what I mean? Man and woman, and I'll be like, yeah, I think this and that. And they're like, you should say to me, you're so good at giving advice and X Y Z. I'm surprised. They'll just say stuff like, "Oh, I'm surprised that you don't have a girlfriend." Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's, they'll just say that, like, and I'll be like, "Oh," obviously there's layers, obviously things and obviously reasons, but like, yeah, you know, let's get talking and cracking. I like building community. I like having deep conversations because and I like I like just like solving things and being and uplifting people and seeing people happy. Do you know what I mean? Man and woman. I like seeing happy couples as well. I ain't the type of guy that's like, oh, I wish I had that. Duh, duh, duh. Of course, I want X, Y, Z. This and that. And as me, the way I speak, I believe I already have it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, feel free. Feel free. You know, comment, follow Instagram, subscribe, whatever. Just share it to your friends, let them comment, subscribe, and let's have conversation. You know what I mean? So all love and peace to you lot. I hope you're having a great day, month, year, and all of that. Could be a birthday, have a great birthday, celebrate. There's always something to celebrate, always something to feel good about. Let's do that. You know, let's get rocking, let's get cracking. Peace out.